Hey, Thrand here.
Hey, this is Eldgrim, and this is the Thrand channel. Yo!
Address Authurian Historian, which we appreciate him doing this. He did a reply video to us. It's 22 minutes long, so it's quite long to watch. But through the whole video, he compares the cast blow to, I'm assuming, other types of cuts like
the hammer grip
cutting, just allowing the blade
or
to stay
screening shots, like
or like cuts where you screen and cut or draw cut,
right,
compared to actually the cast blow. And he's saying a lot of the same things is what we're getting.
Right.
He's saying that, you probably be disarmed, that power is not the main focus. And our argument is basically sometimes power is important, and other times it's not as important. If somebody is in blossfetched and unarmored, then
yeah, you could use
But it's
those.
never meant to be a standalone technique. We never said that other techniques could not be utilized. We just said that we see this depiction in artwork, and we believe this is what they are doing.
That's right.
Very commonly. And there's reasons why. The weapons were designed for that type of...
Let's just say this, it's one
technique.
Move. It's one move in an entire system of martial skills. So even in the Viking era and all these other eras, the hammer grip is still used, the handshake finish and the cast is still used.
Oh yeah, even in bronze weapons we see this depending on how they're made. If they're heavier blades, they tend not to have the big round disc on the back.
Right.
So, all right, I'm here with my famous brick setup. What we've got it set up like is it to be like a clavicle or a scapula type idea, or where it all meets in the shoulder joint. And it's very hard to protect that. You could put padding over it. Early period when they wore a lot of mail and they got to where they were wearing not just gurneys or halberd, they were wearing entire suits of mail covering almost every bone. But we don't have a lot of evidence whether they were actually using anything else to reinforce forearms and legs until they started putting plate pieces on or hardened leather and so on. So early period, we see a lot of those type cast blows. So what we're going to do is set this up today with our 40% ballistics gelatin over our fake bone in an ideal setup to possibly break. We're going to go ahead and put over that our gambeson, which is actually a mantle here, with our Bourget mantle, with our actual coif. Let me set that up right here. We want to set that up ideally where it's covering the bone properly, and we're going to test it and see if you can get any power through that, because power is the issue here, whether it's ever necessary to have power for any specific blows or anything to damage your opponent. And I believe through mail it's possible to damage certain bones, so let's see what happens. I'll start off by testing a cut like he's describing, Arthurian Historian. He's saying control blade, so I'm assuming he means a good strong grip. You're not going to overextend it. You're just going to cut with it. Which, of course, I could use the weight of this blade because I'm used to throwing cast blow, and I could literally throw a cast blow in this situation, shortening it, and get more power. But this would be a hacking or chopping or cutting technique like he's trying to say is not used as much because it can either get disarmed or you actually cannot redirect it. But I kind of beg to differ in certain situations where the power might be important, you're going to want full power. But let's say I am going to cut it like a screening style cut or something, if I was going to come in and control it. And we'll see what it does to our rig here. Well, we got flesh damage, but didn't do anything to our brick.
Would you call that bruising?
I would say bruising, and since it was against a bone, I mean, you never know. It might have damaged the skin some. You might have some rupturing in the skin where you have blood actually coming out of the hematoma. But I didn't see anything severe. We are now going to use the cast blow, and one of the things he said about it, he said that it slides through the hand out like this. No, you'd wind up catching it like that. It is not a thrown blow like the spear or something where it slides in the hand. Now, we're going to start off, I'm holding it tightly back here, a lot like Matt Easton has said, where you hold tight back here and he kind of just holds it and lets the blade do what it wants to do. But when you get full extension, what happens? The thumb tends to go to one side, you end up in Roland's idea or the handshake style grip, but it's only for a moment in time when you're actually casting the blow out to get the reach, but you're using the weight of the blade. I'm worried more about accelerating the blade on this than using my body and stepping in and cutting and pushing or pulling. I'm just going to use the weight of the sword and accelerate it, try to impact this and see what kind of damage we can do. And I'm starting off in this position, my hand's tight back here, but I'm actually going to let it kind of rock back in my hand before I throw the blow to get the most amount of force possible. So let's go ahead and see what happens here.
Fuck.
I would say that it did its job. Our flesh was torn all to heck, but I'm sure that's getting shoved into the brick. Still held up together pretty well.
When we think about it, the flesh gets shoved into the bone too. If any of it splintered or anything like that, it would do damage to the skin subcutaneously.
Right, so we had the padding of our gambison. We had our mail, which was mostly here for aesthetics. We didn't have a sharp blade. There was no need to. This is all blunt force trauma. And this is what ended up happening. We ended up enough force to still damage that. So the argument is the clavicle right here is set up to break, if you think about it. I know, yes, the shoulder can move and so on, but it's set up, it's stretched across. There's lots of bones in the body in certain circumstances. If they have enough force going through them, not necessarily breaking them by hitting them and then giving, but them in a situation where they can't give, they'll break from the impact, just like the brick did. So yes, I think under circumstances of mostly mail and lots of gambison, that the force of the blow did matter even from swords, and that's why you see the 13th century swords getting heavier and heavier until they decided that wasn't really the way to go. Let's go for niches. People are wearing lots of plates, not helping us much. We need to start trying to get in those niches and kill them that way. But when it was just lots of mail, and especially cloth armor, like multiple layers of cloth, you could still injure the guy through the cloth even if you didn't get a slice and cut into it. But with a proper angle and force, more force cuts through more material. That's why it works so well on tatami, or it cuts through our rolled wet newspaper. There's only a certain way to cut through that and go clean through, especially with these thicker blades. They're much thicker than what they usually use for tatami cutting. They use specific blades that are real thin to make it easier for them nowadays. So all in all, I would say that there is some validity to using force when hitting certain areas of the body. Would you want to use it in every single blow? Probably not. But if it's some area where you can't hit any niches and you're pretty much throwing blows like that, then yeah, you want to hit a shoulder, you want to hit a clavicle, you want to hit some ribs, you want to hit something, at least injure the guy or wind him. Maybe you get your niche after that and get him right in a nice opening when he's bent over or hunkered over or in pain, or he just leaves the field for you. We have our brick set up, and this time not to break. It's not set up like in a martial arts demo with two pieces here in an optimal position like a clavicle or something, if it was in the proper position to break. And what we're going to do is put our 20% ballistics gelatin over it, which is very, very tough. It's about the thickness of flesh would be over bone. And we're going to go ahead and put the gambison that we used with our bow test recently on top of it. And this stopped an actual 50-pound hunting bow with a bodkin point. So it's pretty good gambison. I don't think you can cut through it easily. You might cut into it, but I doubt you'll cut clean through it. We're going to use a cast blow to see if this sword here can actually send any energy through it and damage the brick in any way. That's our whole idea at the moment.
Oh, that was gnarly, dude.
Let's see what it did to
With all that bounce, that thing bounced 3 inches off that platform.
most
And a human body don't bounce that much on an
And we cut our
impact.
gambison, like as we assumed it would cut some, but we didn't cut all the way through our gambison. We actually did not cut all the way through the gambison. But the brick was still split from the transfer of energy, and the flesh still split open. So that's telling me that even with padding and this, and a sword that's a little under, I guess about 3 pounds, with a proper blow, a cast blow, it could still be damaging to someone wearing multiple layers of gambison, or possibly even mail, because we've done that already as well. The force carries through. Listen now on a bottle, like you've seen us cut in other videos, kind of representing a flesh analog, just something that gives. It gives a lot, as you can see, like a belly would. And this is our gambison. We're going to see if we can possibly cut into it with different techniques. The first one, I'll try a slicing type thing, not a hacking style thing, because I think it's going to take a slicing type thing that's going to go through. But I'm going to use it with a kind of a cast blow, but more add a slice to it, kind of like you do with a toll wall or something, or a saber. See what it does.
Whew. Yeah. I mean, you hit it, dude. You hit it. You hit it good.
That did not cut. Do the same kind of thing with a cast blow and a draw again. Let's try it one more time.
Give it hell. Damn!
Oh, we don't want to break our bottle that way, but we're still not cutting through the gambeson. That's why I still believe cloth is probably the earliest textiles form of armor that was extremely effective, and people were trying to find ways to defeat it. And it's not the edge.
Well, the cast blow would still break bones underneath that armor, but it's about cutting. We're talking about cutting here. Can you cut it?
Right. Let's try some different ideas.
Not doing nothing, huh? That's a sharp edge. Man, you're barely doing it. I mean, just barely cutting it. I don't even
With
think
that much give on the bottle, what it is, it's bouncing. I don't think it's going to be able to cut it with bounce. Let's try a tip shot.
Oh, yeah! The tip did it.
The tip went all the way through.
Jeez. That is...
So anything but a tip shot is not going to make it through that many layers of gambeson. The tip shot actually did it. I hit with this much of the sword and sliced through. And that was more of a cast style blow that I used with the tip. Although not impressive, and we didn't cut completely through the bottle, it's very impressive going through this amount of material.
So you got to catch it with the very tip.
Most certainly.
That was epic, bro.
That's from a tip shot, from a sword, hitting 1mm steel. Now I know that most armor material was thicker than this, but as you can see, that tip of the sword can cut just as effectively as an axe, if accelerated properly. I'm quite impressed. Oh! And I left the blade in because I wanted to see the depth this time that we got. I remember that's a really tough material, tougher than gambeson in many ways. We got a good couple of inches all the way in, which is about as deep as we got with a lot of the spear thrusts from different types of spears, depending on what they were. Not bad whatsoever. And you can see those are all the way through. Right there. Stone cleaver, Stene Cleaver, my favorite sword, and it has an actual tight grip. I modified this for another video because it was slightly longer, like all modern swords. Even though it was made for me, it was done that way because they assumed that I wanted, I guess, a gauntlet, like everybody would assume. But we've got the actual 8 centimeters. It's about 8-7 centimeters, somewhere between 8-7 centimeters. And we've got the tight grip. And like I was saying, it's very difficult to get your thumb behind this. It would be off to one side. If you're using the grip we're speaking of, even if this is perfectly straight here, which would be even tighter then, your thumb's going to be off to one side. So it's not like your thumb's directly behind it and it's totally open here and easy to pull out. Your thumb is slightly off to one side, and most of your grip is in the back when you do the cast blow. The other thing he keeps speaking of is that there's no control. I can't stop this. Once I get it going that way, there's no control, which you can see you can control it. Beautiful cut.
Nice.
Beautifully. It goes clean through, and all I'm doing is letting the sword do the work. I'm not sitting here trying to do a body style cut where I'm holding the sword and doing that. Because if I did that and try to put body and step into it and cut, we'd get an effect just like this. And that's what we were trying to show. Yes, I can do faster body motion. I can step in quicker and try to cut like I just did. But it's not going to work on this kind of medium. Ah!
Nice.
Sorry, I got tired of that being up there.
You crowned him.
Yeah. And like we normally do, we can heal him here. Ah!
Very nice.
Oh! Of course, I knocked the piece off. I thought that was a pretty decap. Sad, he was healed too. Roland Warzecha's cast blow. Cast blow is basically where the sword is accelerated and thrown with the arm. It's not even necessary to use the entire body to generate energy. Just the arm and slight initial body movements. That's about it. You're just accelerating the blade, letting the blade do the work. and follow through the target, using the back of the hand to grip tightly and the pommel on the back with the fingers tightly grasped and loose in the front, allowing it to just flail out and kind of do its own cutting while you control it from the back and letting it do its thing. This shield is heavy. This is a dinosaur thing. This is something we made just to test. This weighs 15 pounds.
Right, the heavier shield.
I'm supposedly not able, if he throws an attack to this side, to do it. This thing is just too heavy. He throws as fast as he can. I can't move in here and do this. This is not possible. You know what I just did here. And I'm using a thrust because he used a lot of thrust. A lot of times I would cut if I'm using cutting sword. But you know, I could follow the line just like Roland Warzecha. Got the cut, but let's cut with the shield line now. Alright. And that's just cutting with the shield line. I just cut him in the shoulder easily. Just cutting with the shield line. And that's copying Roland Warzecha's style there. Then it worked well with the Viking round, and we believed it was used a lot due to the circumstances. They were using a shield to fence with, not the sword, in our opinion, like Roland Warzecha. So in that case, these type of blows against proper armor, or even without armor, were devastating.
Oh, you'd be terrified of somebody throwing
and they're coming out
those.
extremely fast with so much force that even controlled, they're going to lob something off.
And if they don't lob something else because you're wearing armor, and it's going to bust something if it hits the right balls.
It possibly could if it hits the right thing. I think we've proven that today as well.
That's no doubt.
But our focus was not extreme power. That's what we were
right.
saying. And we never said that they never use these type of cuts anymore. If somebody's in close, I'm most certainly going to cut that way.
That's right.
If I'm unarmored, and they have lighter versions of Viking Age swords that appear like they were almost made for fighting without a shield.
That's true.
Or they might have done some sword fencing. You can cut a man easily that way.
Yes, and if
he's not armored and it's a civilian situation, you can step in and slice him. It's all over right in the throat.
That's very true. Very, very